G'day everyone, I got this little crab here and he's going to poke his head out. And he's on a slow pause animation. G'day, stay. You'd be forgiven for thinking that pause meant more than 1 second, right? Well, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can control your pauses and reveals with complete control for dark rides and other things, so let's get straight into it. So here's a very quick little example of a mermaid who pops up and blows bubble kisses to those on the boat ride. And the key is she stays in place and remains hidden until we want her to appear. So as the boat comes up the canal here, you're going to see here she comes and starts blowing bubbles. The mermaid is actually sitting in her resting position, which is perfectly still and being hidden when we don't want her. So as the boat comes past its trigger point, we're initiating the hide. So it's a bit of a flip of logic, and there's a little mechanism in place that keeps her hidden. Okay, before we build the mechanism, I just want to show you how easy it is to use once you've finished setting it up. And we've just got a number of seconds defined for how long he should hide and reveal. So if I hit play, anytime one of those is present, it's going to disappear, and otherwise it'll pop up and say hello. And so you've got full control of these animations, and you can duplicate them. So I might want to have a series of quick hides and reveals, or I might want to have a longer break in between and then introduce some other animations like a spin. So it's really up to you on how you define these, but once they're created, it's just going to give you that sort of creative freedom to focus more on what you're trying to do in your dark ride rather than mucking around with moving platforms and getting all this figured out. So once you've done the mechanism, you can duplicate it and use it as many times as you need, and time all those things really well. Oh, and one last thing. YouTube right now has a membership promotion for me, so if you want to consider becoming a member of the channel, that is a way you can support me. And I don't really like asking for that. Your likes and subscribes, your comments are more than enough, and I really appreciate your engagement with the channel. But hey, it's an option, and because not everyone sticks around to the end of the video, that's another way you can support just by watching through. But this is an animation I'm going to show you how to create at the end of this video. It's using the same mechanism, and so when I press play, it's got a really fast reveal and hide, which creates this sort of stop motion effect. That might be something that's useful for you in creating midway games or whatever else you want to do in the game, so stick around for that at the end. Well, here is the mechanism exposed, and I have a sequencer with a 4-second duration selected. And we'll have a look at how that works so you can see how the whole thing disappears. And I have basically 2 moving platforms, and we're going to alternate their movement, and they do the work of keeping this thing hidden. So you can see as one fires, the other one starts, and so on. And the nice thing about this approach, which is probably a little bit unique, is that we can stack these as long as we need to create pretty much any duration within half a second. And there are some other good tutorials out there. I think Muku2 did one originally on how to extend a pause. That's worth a look. I'll put the link in the description. This approach is slightly different in that we have some control over the timing, and we can also define the type of animation that we want to see as the entry and exit. So if I have a look at this sequence here, it's using one of those seconds of 5 pauses, and it's adding this animation here. So the best way to show it is to actually get it going. So it does the animation, does the hide, then it finishes that animation again so it can do the reveal. So we've got a nice slow entry and exit. Without that, it's just bang, down she goes, hide for as long as you need, and when it's finished, it pops back up. So there's a whole range of ways we can combine these moving platforms to get the effect that we want. Now, it does rely on us hiding the object completely, and that is probably the only downside, but if you want to do a reveal where you have a perfectly stable end position, this is the way to go. Okay, well, let's create the mechanism, starting with a horizontal platform, and I'll just call it ultra fast, and we'll call it hide A, and we'll set it to on trigger, and we'll duplicate that and attach it. And I've got the game pause, just keeps everything tidy while you're working with moving platforms. And now I've got a hierarchy, and I can come into the second one and just rename it to hide B so we can tell them apart. And that's the core engine of keeping things hidden, and it's laying on its side at the moment. What I'm going to do next is take a vertical platform, attach it to hide B so we know we're in the right position. I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. And I'll put a little rotator on the end as well, just so I've got some control. Before I do that, actually I need to just come in and select this one and set its animation type. So we'll do slow up to down, so if we want to do a slow reveal we can. Next I'll do the rotator and attach it to that. And actually I also like to call this the animation reveal, so I know what it is when it's in the sequencer. And then, oops, just grab that and select the rotator, and we'll call this spin, and we'll put that to something like a very fast rotation, and we'll rotate that as well. So now we've got the option, if we want to spin our little thing and hide it slowly, we can, and we can use these two for the duration of hide that we need. So next we create a sequence, and we'll put a couple of these down. I'll call this one master, and this can have all the controls that we want. I'll move that over there. We'll call this one hide for 5 seconds. What we'll do is we'll add these two horizontal platforms, and hide A and hide B, and yeah, we need to move back here and just alternate them. So I'm going to duplicate and duplicate, something like this. Find the right position where we've got a little bit of overlap. And because we're using the ultra fast, it gives us the finesse. So if we want to create a half a second or a second pause, we can. If you use a slower animation type, you've got less fidelity, but you can do it. So we'll just keep copying this out. And I'm going to show you this full process, as boring as it is, because you need to get this correct. Because what happens sometimes when you overlap animations too closely is they don't play. The second one doesn't play. The sequence basically gets confused. But we'll see how this goes. So unpause and hit play. Just looking to see if that's still hiding the whole time, which it is. Good. So that will do nicely. Next, I will use this sequencer, and I will add the spin, that one, and the 5 second. So now we've got this master animation, and I can say, okay, I want the animation reveal to go for as long as I need. I want to hide for 5 seconds. So this is the first part of the animation. So when that plays, it goes down. Now when it's at its lowest point, I want it to hide for 5 seconds. And then when we've hidden for 5 seconds, I'm going to reveal. So I need to have the second half of this animation playing. Because this will actually fire, but you won't see it because this is still going, this is still hiding. Then once it's been revealed, do your little spin. So let's have a look. Hides it, gets it right out of there, keeps going for the 5 second duration, and then brings it back up nice and slow. Then it does a spin. So now that we've got that, we can take our mechanism and rotate it, place it where we want for our reveal, and we'll take our little crab here, attach it to spin, and he is basically ready to go for a 5 second hide. And now that I've got the whole thing, I'll just position it where I want, and we can play the master. Let's have a look what's going on. And down she goes. It's hiding, and it's doing all that crazy motion under the ground where you don't even need to see it. But when it reveals, it's got that lovely steady pause, does it spin, and we're good. Now the only other thing to do here is take your 5 second trigger and create any duplicates of those you want, and you can basically edit that. Come back here, and if you want to make a 4 second one, just pull it back to 4 seconds. Yeah, just get it in there like that. That should work. You can test it. Yep, working fine. And then we'll just call that 4 seconds. And what I like to do is just stack all these on top of each other so you can't even see them. Just take all those and group them. And now we've got a blueprintable item for wanting to do this as many times as we need. And the last thing to do is position your reveal. So I've got it on an angle here, little crab ready to pop out from the rocks. Because there's a long line of sight, we want to hide it well before the boat gets there. So I've got a 10-second animation set on the ride trigger itself. So have a look at this 10-second animation and the little reveals that we showed before. And that means as the boat comes into view, he's gone. And as it comes around, get a nice little reveal as the boat comes into view. And he stays there long enough for everyone to have a good look before he disappears again, unlike the first one. So that's the purpose of it. Hopefully it's helpful. I'm sure you can do some pretty cool effects with it besides little crabs that pop out of rocks, but you get the idea. Well, thanks for joining me on this one, guys, and here's our little stop motion animation with this ultra fast reveal. And yeah, I'm not sure how practical it is, but it is kind of cool. So this is how it works. So taking our little moving platform, which we had before with the hide and reveal, what we've actually got though is this ultra fast up and down movement, and I've stacked about 50 of them on top of each other. So as it plays, they all go down at once and all come back up at once. And it's moving so quickly, it looks as if that balloon is appearing and disappearing in one frame. And it's actually not. I think there's like just a little bit of it that pops through. And then I've got another one here underneath, which is handling the special effect of the bits of balloon shooting. So that's revealing, and then there's these little bits of rubber shooting across on these rotators before it gets hidden as well. So you can use the hide and reveal technique to create some really interesting elements. I'm not going to show how you make all that, but it's exactly the same principle. It's just stacking like 50 of those explosive ones on top of each other to get the reveal. And then to really maybe question reality, what you can do is stack them all up and make a stop motion like this little spider here. And so the legs are all rotating. It's just going to reset itself each cycle. But yeah, it's basically cycling through, I think 7 or 8 different leg animations and this ripping up and down. So if we have a look underneath, you can see what's going on. Really crazy stuff. And surprisingly, it's not really slowing anything down. So maybe it is viable, but if you want to create some really interesting stuff like that, maybe I'll do another video on that one day. Let me know what you think. Thanks guys. See you on the next one. Look out.